Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 The song. Too much feedback. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 6, Text number 24. Love instructions to Manya schoolmates. Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu Dayam kurta suvidam Abam ashram mumucha Yayata santi rahokshaja Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu Dayam kurta suridam Bhavam ashram umucha Yashata shanti rahokshaja
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu
Dayam kurta suridam
Bhavam ashram umucha
Word for word. Tasma, therefore. Sarveshu, to all. Bhuteshu, living entities. Dayam, mercy. Guruta, show. Sridam, friendliness. Bhavam, gratitude. Ashram, the demons who separate friends and enemies. Umuchya, giving up. Yaya, by which. Ushanti, satisfied. Oksaja, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the perception of the senses. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, my dear young friends born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord is beyond the conception of material knowledge will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duplicity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus become their well-wishers. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord says in Bhagavad-Gita, Bhakti-yoga jananti yajchasmi tattataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by devotional service. Prahlad Maharaj ultimately instructed his class friends, the sons of demons, to accept the process of devotional service by preaching the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in the service of preaching Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad-Gita 1869. Na tasmam manusheshu kaschin me priya tritnamaha. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If one sincerely tried his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord and His supremacy, even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied, and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore invites everyone to become a guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. Dari Dake Tarika, Krishna Upadesh. That is the easiest way to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such preaching, the preacher becomes satisfied, and those to whom he preaches are also satisfied. This is the process of bringing peace and tranquility to the entire world. Bhaktam Janatapasam Sarvarekaneshwaram Sridam Sarvabhutanam Gatvam Amshatirikiti. One is expected to understand these three formulas of knowledge concerning the Supreme Lord. That He's the Supreme Enjoyer, He's the provider of everything, and He's the best well-wisher and friend of everyone. A preacher should personally understand these truths and preach them to everyone. Then there will be peace and tranquility all over the world. The word Sridam, friendliness, is very significant in this verse. People are generally ignorant of Krishna consciousness, therefore become their best well-wisher once you teach them about Krishna consciousness without discrimination. Since the Supreme Lord Vishnu is situated in the core of everyone's heart, everybody is a temple of Vishnu. Every body is a temple of Vishnu. One should not misuse this understanding as an excuse for such words as Dvija Narayan. If Narayan lives in the house of a Dvija, a poor man, this does not mean Narayan becomes poor. He lives everywhere, in the house of the poor and those of the rich. In all circumstances, he remains Narayan. To think that he becomes either poor or rich is a material calculation. He's always Sat, Ashvaya, or Na, full and six opulence in all circumstances. Omarvinatrinasya, Shanamina Slakaya, Shakshulamitam Jina, Tasme Shivure, Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Sapitam Dina Bhutlaya, Swayam Ramaya, Nandasam, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Grada, Sri Vasali, Gaura Bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Translation once again. Therefore, my dear young friends, born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service. Thus become their well-wisher. So Srila Prabhupada always signed his letters, "Your ever well-wisher." And this is what Prahlad Maharaj is telling to his friends. Now at the end of this purport, Prabhupada is saying that Lord Dvija Narayan means that Krishna lives in the house of a poor man. One time there was a boy named Kamala Vishwas, and he wanted to do some service for Advaita Acharya. Everybody, can you hear properly? So he went and paid some debt to the government, 300 rupees. He said that Advaita Acharya was in debt to the government. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he became very angry, and he chastised Kamala Vishwas. You're saying Advaita Acharya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he's Sadashiva, or Lord Vishnu, and at the same time you're saying he's in debt. But this is a big offense. You minimize the position of Advaita Acharya, thinking him to be an ordinary man. And that's what the Prabhupada is saying, that they call the Sudras, the street sweepers, Dvija Narayan, or they wanted to Harijan, they call him Harijan. They wanted to, I think it was Mahatma Gandhi, wanted to allow the low-class people to enter the temples. But Prabhupada put this in his purport to establish the fact that Krishna is always Sat Ashraya Puranam, full in six opulence, always full in all wealth, all strength, all knowledge, all beauty, all renunciation, and so forth. So here we have Prahlad Maharaj instructing his playmates. They're only children, but still he said it didn't matter. At any age, one should take the Krishna consciousness. So he told them first that they should give up their demoniac nature. Now demons, the nature of demons is described in Bhagavad-Gita. The demoniac nature, the pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance, is the nature of demoniac people. And this is keeps them in bondage in the material world. So first he said that they should give up their demoniac nature and with his help show mercy to all living entities. So Prahlad Maharaj is acting as their Shiksha Guru, and by preaching to these children. And so the three things here are 3 points here we can study and understand. The first point is that how preaching is very important, and the quality of the preacher and the results of one who preaches to everyone. Now the word tushyati means satisfied, and Prabhupada used that word 3 or 4 times in his purport, that the Lord will be satisfied by this, by preaching and enlightening others in devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada had a friend and told him, his friend said, let us go and see this saintly person, sadhu. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, I've seen so many sadhus. Prabhupada's father would daily feed at least 5 sadhus. And most of them were just dressed as sadhus, just to fill their bellies, were not actually genuine sadhus. So Prabhupada didn't want to go to meet another bogus guru or sadhu. But somehow he went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And when Bhaktisiddhanta looked at Srila Prabhupada, the first thing he said to him is, you're a young man and you should take up this mission of Lord Chaitanya and preach it all over the world. So when Srila Prabhupada heard that, he said, we cannot preach, we will not be effective in our preaching because India is still a dependent country. India was still under British rule till 1948. But Bhaktisiddhanta defeated that and said this is not a political movement, and with this Lord Chaitanya's message cannot wait for any change in government. So it was when Srila Prabhupada got that order, he spent his whole life trying to fulfill the order of his Guru Maharaj. Eke Kur Nandana, and verse in Bhagavad-Gita, he became one-pointed in his desire to serve the mission, to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master. So, Bhaktisiddhanta also instructed Srila Prabhupada that if you ever get money, print books, because by the printing books, we have these Harinam Sankirtan. There's 2 kinds of Sankirtan. One is the street going on the street and chanting, and the other is the Priya Mandanga, or the printing press. And that is more effective than the street chanting, because the Madhanga Kartal chanting can only be heard for a short distance, but the Priya Madhanga, the book distribution, can be effective all over the world. So Lord, in Chaitanya Bhagavat it said, Viti Viti Atri Atri Nagarani Gram Savatra Pracha Abhay Moranam. In as many towns and villages on the surface of the earth, my holy name will be preached. So this was the prediction of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who came on the most magnificent incarnations. They came to inaugurate the chanting of the holy name and the spreading of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada, somehow or other, in advanced age, was able to accomplish this feat, and by somehow he took the boat, the Jaladuta, at the advanced age of 70, went through so many hardships, but still he went to America. He had no money, he had no contacts, he had nothing, simply simple dress, and 3 trunks of books. His first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada struggled, but after 1 year he inaugurated, he incorporated ISKCON, and then first center was in New York, then they opened a center in San Francisco, and eventually all over the world. And it was predicted that Prabhupada would open 108 temples in his lifetime, which he did before he departed in 1977. So, it says here that preaching is the best service to satisfy the Lord. And this is bhakti-yoga. The preachers, Prabhupada stressed this book distribution. And he was very satisfied and enlivened when he heard the book distribution results. So the devotees went out daily to distribute Prabhupada's books. And Sri Gauritai, Krishna Balaram, and Shamsundar Pujai. But Prabhupada translated his books, and not only to be distributed, but he wanted his devotees to also read his books. Because they go and distribute books, and people say, "What is in these books?" And they say, "Well, we don't know. We're just distributing them." But Prabhupada also wanted his disciples to study his books, not just read them, but study his books, so they could be like a lawyer. The lawyer goes to court, he can cite other cases to support his case. So Prabhupada himself was never defeated in a room conversation, in a morning walk, in any way by anyone about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. In the same way, he wanted his disciples to be qualified to preach. So he made book distribution a priority. But he said the Harinam, deity worship should all go on simultaneously, side by side. But he stressed this over and over again that the book distribution should be the top priority, because they would give 50% of the collections for temple instruction and 50% for book printing. And he told Ramasar Prabhu that the book printing was the top priority. Everything else can stop, but the book printing and book distribution should go on. So it's going on even today. Many devotees, sincere devotees, like Vaisheshika Prabhu, who does book distribution seminars, and all his life he's been enthusiastic about distributing books. Because Queen Kunti says that in her prayers, she says that one who continuously hears, chants, and repeats your transcendental activities or takes pleasure in others doing so, certainly sees your lotus feet alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So not only do we go out to preach Krishna consciousness, to save those fallen conditioned souls, but we also get great pleasure out of doing that activity. It's a strenuous activity, but it keeps one fully engaged, and devotees are enthusiastic to do that. So Vaisheshika Prabhu wrote a book called Family Business, all about book distribution, the history of book distribution. In chapter 13 and 14, he stresses that for a book distributor to be successful, he should have followed strict sadhana. Means show up every day for the morning program. Mangalarti, Guru Puja class, chanting japa, and so forth. And there was a library party in Prabhupada's time, which was Bhakti Tirtha Swami, who at that time was in charge of the library party. And Prabhupada was very pleased with him, he embraced him. And the people on the library party had very strict sadhana. They rise early in the morning, chant all the rounds before Mangalarti, study Prabhupada's books, and then go and put the books, study the books, take standing orders to put the books in all the libraries, as many as possible, all over the world. So this was the importance of book distribution. Prabhupada said, what will your 3-minute lecture do? You meet someone, you can tell them about Krishna consciousness, but if you give them a book, then Prabhupada is the real preacher. And there's so many instances, people getting books, but they didn't read it. But maybe after 20 years, they opened the book and read it and became devotees. One man in Delhi, his whole life he was sinful, like an ordinary man. And someone took him to the temple in Delhi, in Greater Kailash, started reading Bhagavad-Gita, and became a devotee. Started chanting 16 rounds, following the principles, giving up all his sinful activities. Another man in Maharashtra, who was a sinful man, owned a liquor shop, started a restaurant, a meat restaurant. He was a cruel man, always a drunkard. His father told him, before he died, that you should read one book in Maharashtrian language, one scripture. So the man went to read that book, but he couldn't understand it. But when he went to read that book, he found Prabhupada's Bhagavad-Gita. And he read Prabhupada's Bhagavad-Gita, and then one night he went to a party with some friends, and one man threatened to kill him. Because when people get intoxicated, they can do any crazy things. And that changed his whole outlook on life. He immediately gave up all his sinful activities and became a devotee along with his family. So the books are like time bombs. A time bomb has a clock, and a bomb has a clock inside, so that the bomb will go off at a certain time. So the books are planted in people's houses, and they may not be effective immediately. But there's so many stories of people who got a book and didn't read it, put it on the bookshelf. But generally when people get books and take them to their house, they put it on their bookshelf. People don't throw away books. They keep books, at least hardbound books. So we planted the books, we planted the seed, we gave the books to so many people. And when someone is in distress, or someone has so many problems, they take that book and read it, and give them relief, to give them shelter, and become devotees. So it used to say in the train stations all over India that service to man is service to God. So I was trying to figure that out. How is service man service to God? But service to man is not service to God. Service to man is service to man, and service to God is service to God. So this Krishna consciousness movement is a welfare welfare activities where Radha is saying that they should become the well-wisher of all living entities. And his highest welfare is to give people Krishna consciousness. So this Krishna consciousness movement is not a social welfare activities. We're not interested in opening hospitals or mundane schools or different kind of other activities, but we're interested in the welfare of the general people and educating people how they can get free from the cycle of birth and death and free from the suffering of material life. Even the government gave us trouble, or giving us trouble, saying we're with the CIA. And Prabhupada said, well, what's the CIA doing in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? If you don't know what the CIA is, that's the secret police in America, like the KGB. So they didn't want to give us permission to build a temple in Delhi because they thought we were with the CIA. But we're not. We have nothing to do with any government or any politics. They couldn't understand that. And also, they were saying we're not an educational institution. Even in Mathura, the people in Mathura were giving us a hard time, saying we shouldn't have student visas, but we're not an educational institution. But what does it mean to be an educational institution? We have to teach people how to be doctors and lawyers and engineers, and so they can make money and satisfy their sense gratification. No, we are, everything we do is for the education of people. We teach people how to live their lives. We have class in the morning and night. We are teaching people how to chant japa. So all our activities are centered around educating people. So now the home ministry has accredited us as an educational institution. So this is the real welfare. Prahlad Maharaj was a Mahajan, and after the Lord Nrsimhadev killed his father Ranikashipu, he said, "My dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I see there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forests to meditate with vows of silence. They are not interested to deliver others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to your lotus feet." So this was the mood of a great soul, Mahajan. He's one of the Mahajans. And he also said, "I'm not at all afraid of material existence. Wherever I stay, I'm fully absorbed in thought of your glories and activity. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness, maintaining their families, society, and country. I'm simply concerned with love for them." So when Advaitacharya and Haridas Thakur saw the condition in Navadvip, that the people there were only concerned about worshipping Goddess Kali and making elaborate arrangements for weddings and so many other things, but were not taking to devotional service. So they said the only remedy would be if the Lord would come as incarnate as the Yuga avatar and deliver all the fallen souls. So they prayed. Advaitacharya prayed for the Lord, called the Lord to come by worshipping Shalagram with Tulsi leaves and Ganges water. So Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago. Namo Mahabharataya Krishna Premadate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namo Guru Namaha. And Rupa Goswami says that he's the most munificent incarnation, but he came not to give what no other incarnation ever gave, and that is Krishna Prema. So in every yuga, there's a yuga avatar, and he comes with the same mission to deliver the fallen souls and give them Krishna consciousness. And the chanting of Hare Krishna is going on in every age. But it's not the Yuga Dharma. When Upabara, there was a demigod named Upabara who was attached to women and had many women friends. So when the Sankirtan party came by, he was chanting cinema songs and not interested. So they cursed him to become a Sudra, the son of a Sudra, devoid of beauty. And then later he became Narada Muni. But Prabhupada wrote in the purport that the Sankirtan was going on not only in the heavenly planets but all yugas. He's chanting the holy Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. But in Kali Yuga, it is the Yuga Dharma, the process. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalo, Kaluna Nasteva, Gacchanyata. So it's written no other way to attain self-realization in this age, but by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So everyone should try to chant every day 16 rounds, and also do kirtan. Harinasa, of course, says by chanting japa, you deliver yourself, but by doing kirtan, you get 100 times more benefit because all other people are hearing the holy name at the same time. So when Lord Chaitanya went to South India, when he was approached by one Brahmana, whose name was Kurma, and he said to Lord Chaitanya that I cannot tolerate family life. I want to go with you and leave my family. But Lord Chaitanya told him, Yarika Krishna Upadesh, that you stay in your family life, but you study Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-Gita, preach the message, and become a guru and deliver everyone in the land. So that was the instruction the Lord Chaitanya gave to everybody he met in South India. That not that they had to leave their family prematurely, but they should do one thing, and that is make Krishna the center of their life by preaching and kirtan. This way, become a guru. Prabhupada says here, become a guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. And that's the easiest way to realize the personality of Godhead. So the Lord becomes satisfied when one preaches, and the preacher becomes satisfied. But the preacher of the Krishna consciousness movement, it is said that books are the basis and purity is the force. So Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami said to Haridas Thakur, there's archara and prachara. Some people behave nicely but don't preach, and some people preach but don't behave nicely. But you do both. So the preacher of Krishna consciousness should teach by example. Should be not like so teachers in school will tell the students that you shouldn't smoke cigarettes, but then after school's over, they'd see the teachers smoking cigarettes. So it didn't have much effect on them. So we should practice what we preach. So therefore, the preachers have to be of ideal character to be effective in their preaching. So the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to bring peace all over the world. And for they asked Prabhupada, what would happen if everyone in the world became Krishna conscious. He said the whole world would be happy and peaceful. But of course, that's not possible, because there will always be a demoniac, people who are demoniac and people who are not interested in taking the Kali Yuga. It says in Srimad Bhagavatam that as Kali Yuga progresses, day by day, people's ability to understand spiritual life, take the spiritual life, becomes less and less. So the preachers of our Krishna conscious movement, we see them going all over the world, having so many festivals, preaching to so many people. People are becoming devotees very happily, especially in Russia, especially in India. So many books are being distributed. So many people are taking the Krishna consciousness. So this is pleasing to the Lord, pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, pleasing to the Guru Parampara, pleasing to everyone. And devotees are happy. We're happy to meet people, preach to people, and see them taking the Krishna consciousnness and changing their lives. Otherwise, Prahlad Maharaj says that life is short. You only live 100 years, and people are wasting their human form of life. 8,400,000 species of life, but of that, there are only 400,000 are human species, and of that, only a small percentage are the civilized human species. A civilized human being is someone who accepts his spiritual master and follows his instructions. Guru Krishna prasaded by Bhakti Lata Beach. Yasha prasada, Bhagavad prasada, Yasha prasada, Narakintan Gopi. Then when the Guru is pleased, Krishna is pleased, and if Krishna is pleased, then the Guru is pleased. So this is the best way to please Krishna, to please Srila Prabhupada, to engage in his preaching mission. Everything we do in this temple is centered around preaching. Whether you're cleaning the floor, or dressing the deities, or cooking for the deities, whatever service you're doing, it's meant to facilitate the preaching. And it's necessary to have deity worship so devotees can stay pure, so they can, when they go out to preach, they will not be contaminated by the modes of material nature. So we preach to people, we give them our association. We don't take their association, meaning that we tell them about Krishna, but we're not interested in what they have to say. So we give a book to a man, and we say, "You are a very intelligent man. You please take this book and forget everything else you ever learned in your life." So in this way, Krishna conscious movement is going on all over the world, and Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to his friends who are only children, but it didn't matter whether they're children or grown up or old men, that the Krishna conscious movement should be taught and understood by all people in society. So Prabhupada opened temples, he started gurukuls, schools to educate our children in Krishna consciousness. So when they grow up, they'll also become devotees and spread Krishna consciousness. In this way, we can fulfill the order of Lord Chaitanya, that his holy name will be chanted every town and village. Even though Prabhupada met with opposition, so many times Prabhupada met with opposition from his godbrothers and from others, Samartha Brahmins. But Naramuni said to King Yudhishthira, if one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, as described above, even if he accepted a different class, he should accept it according to those symptoms of classification. So Prabhupada initiated to many people and gave them Brahmana initiation. So Brahmana initiation is not according to birth. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, so many verses say that even if one is born in a family of a dog eater, and a dog eater is considered the lowest class men, but if he's trained and has the symptoms of a Brahmin, he should be considered a Brahmin. So it doesn't matter what your birth. Bhagavad-Gita says, Janma Karma. It says Guna Karma, not Janma Karma. It's not by birth, but by quality. But once becomes a Brahmin, like Prabhupada gave Brahma initiation people, so he could perform the deity worship in the temples. He wanted 10 Brahmins in every temple. But they may have not been qualified, but he wanted them to become qualified. So it's not that you have to be born in a Brahmin family. This is a misconception that people have, and even today they criticize devotees and don't accept the devotees as Brahmins. But if one follows strictly the order of the spiritual master, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regular principles, no eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, then one can be accepted as a Brahmana and preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. So I'm going to stop there. I don't have time for questions because I have to do seva. Much more can be said about this verse, but we can understand that Prahlad Maharaj is a Mahajan, and he's preaching and saying that not only should we become Krishna conscious, but we should also act for the welfare of all human society. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.